What is up, Stepper athletes? My name is Toby Massenberg, aka Coach T, and welcome to your 20-minute steady state intermediate workout. That's a lot of S's, but one thing that is for sure is this is going to be a great workout. We're going to be focusing primarily on long endurance. The longest we're working for is going to be about 3 minutes in total length for high intensity, and of course I got a couple different opportunities to bring that intensity down. That being said, let's warm up this body. We're going to go ahead and turn on our stepper. I want you to go ahead and take a look at our stepper, and I want you to take a quick look at our quick keys, which are going to be located towards the bottom. Automatically, we're going to start off at a level 3 as far as our speed is concerned, but I want us to go ahead and jump that up, shall we? We're going to take our speed immediately to about a 5 or a 6. So I want you to kind of get slowly into this workout. We're going to start with our warm-up. It's going to be about 3 minutes in total length. During this warm-up, we're going to get very familiar with our stepper, and of course, we're going to talk a little bit about today's workout. So first things first, in order to be successful, we have to have knowledge about how to navigate our machine properly. First thing I want you to do is take a look at your pause as well as your stop button. They're going to be located right to the top on the handles over to the left. Now if you take a look, anytime that you need to pause, stop, or just take a moment to sort of reset and feel good all over again, all you have to do is go and hit that button on the left-hand side at the top where it says stop, pause and or stop on the left side. Now, over on the right side is going to be your levels or your speed. Obviously, the arrow up is going to make us go a little faster, and the arrow down is going to have us go a little bit slower. Taking a look at your console, you can take a look at your hotkeys, which are going to be located at the very bottom. That's what's going to help us get to those level changes a little bit more expediently. Speaking of level changes or speed changes, let's do that right here. Go ahead and start to pick up your speed a little bit. I want you to join me about maybe a 6 or a 7, so just slightly faster than when we first started. We're still about 90 seconds into this warm-up. Now, as we start to go ahead and take a quick look at your screen at the front. You're going to notice at the top end is going to be your SPMs. That's basically your steps per minute. Right below that is going to be all about our floors, how many level floors we're going through. On the bottom end of that is going to be your steps, how many steps we're actually taking at the speed that we're at. Right-hand side, you're going to notice our calorie count. And of course, since we're going up, 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 all the way up, you're going to notice our altitude and floor are on the bottom right-hand side. Now, as we begin to come to the tail end of this warm-up, let's talk a little bit about today's workout. Now, in today's workout, again, like I said from before, it's going to be all about steady state. We're going to see 2 blocks of work. And block number 1, we're going to have intervals where our intensity is going to go up, maybe about 3 minutes in total length. We're going to start with our base pace. Then we're going to come a little bit lower down into a bit more of a recovery pace. Now, for our base pace for today, I want you to find your base pace to be anywhere between 10 to about 14 to start off with. Know that you can always adjust it depending on your need. Right now, let's go ahead and start to bump up our speed, and I want you to join me right about a 10 as far as your speed is concerned, because we're going to jump into our very first interval block. Now, as I said from before, we're going to be here for 3 minutes in total length. As we start to go, let's talk a little bit about form. To be successful in today's class, you want to think that your body should be pretty much straight up and down. Hands are going to be very light as far as where the handles are concerned, and your chest is going to be nice and lifted. As we start to go, I want you to focus on the shoulders being located over top of the hips. That's what's going to give you the most powerful step with every single interval as we start to go. Know that it's really easy to kind of get a little bit lazy with this one, meaning rounding the back, putting all of our focus or all of our weight onto the handles. The handles are really just here for a little bit of balance. Your lower body should be doing majority of the work. At this point, breathing is going to start to change here a little bit, become a little bit more labored. I don't need you breathless by any stretch of the imagination, but you do want to feel that work start to gather a little bit here. Now here's some good news. With this first block, this is our learning opportunity. I don't need you to go straight out the gate super hot, right? Again, this is all about steady state. I want you to feel a slow rise in the intensity, and then your heart rate start to kind of level off. Let's talk a little bit about intensity as well. Now your intensity, we're going to put it on a scale between 1 to 10. That's what's also going to be called your RPE, or rate of perceived exertion. Now, Coach T, what does that mean? How can I find it? It's a good question. I want you to think of maybe a 1, super simple. We're laying down, we're actually watching a workout, and we're not doing the workout, right? A level 2, 3, at that point, we're pretty much in our warm-up, which we've already gone past at this point, which means we're starting to move a little bit, starting to groove a little bit, but you can definitely keep long conversations. Maybe in the level 4, 5, 6, at that point, breathing comes a little bit more labored, you're working a little bit harder, you can give me talking sentences, but they'll be pretty much a little faster. That's where I need you at right here. So we're still working, but it's not our heaviest work. Then I want you to think maybe a 7 or an 8, possibly even a 9-ish. At that point, breathing is very labored. Talking strictly from your mouth or breathing from your nose, probably not an option at that point. You have to open up the mouth to get a little bit more air into your lung pathways. Then we're talking about a 9 or 10. A 9 or 10, we are almost breathless, if not knocking on breathless door. Working super hard. The intensity is really, really high. We are not able to sustain it for super long. Okay, we're going to come into our first recovery. I want you to drop down your speed ever so slightly, maybe 1 or 2. That being said, I want you to try to keep this recovery pace somewhere around 10. I don't want to necessarily need you to go up below that. However, that being said, this is your workout, your time. Feel free to always adjust according to need. Now this recovery pace is going to be for just 90 seconds, which is basically half of our working pace. So this is an opportunity to sort of reset the dial, feel good all over again. Now we're about to come into round 2 of the exact same thing. We're going to put 3 minutes back on the clock, except for this time, I want you to challenge yourself a touch more. We're going to come, again, anywhere between 10 to about 14 as far as your level speed is concerned. That being said, I want you to reminisce with me. On that last block, where did you land on between that 10 and that 14 as far as your level is concerned? Could you bump it up ever so slightly? Maybe 1, possibly 2. Still keeping our ceiling about 14 and our basement about 10. Let's give it a try. What's the worst that can happen? We break a sweat? Not so bad. Okay, in less than 10 seconds, we're going to go back into our base pace or a faster tempo, our higher intensity. Okay, let's make that adjustment in 4, 3, 2, and 1. Start to increase that speed. Come with me. Here we go. We're putting 3 minutes back on the clock. How are we feeling? We're basically taking everything we've learned so far and we're adding just a little bit more push to this one. As you start to go, I want you to be mindful of your footprint within the sand. At this point, as you take each one of the steps, you're looking to put the majority of your foot onto each one of the stair steps. Try to avoid getting just the edge. You want to try to get as much of the midsole of the foot as possible. Again, that's where you're going to be the most powerful. Now, once again, check in with your posture. At this point, once again, shoulders should be over top of the hips. I want you to lightly bring your belly button in towards your spine. Feel the core start to react as you take each one of the steps. One of the great things about working on a stair stepper is that although the lower body is getting majority of the work, it does take a full body effort, meaning that your upper body does help here. A couple different ways you can do that. Rolling the shoulders back and squeezing-ish the shoulder blades together. That's what's going to help keep an upright posture. As you begin to go, also focus on your breathing. Chin is going to be away from the chest. Heart's going to be nice and lifted. I want to try to keep your gaze forward as well here as well. The thing is, when you look down, your body tends to go in that direction. So guess what happens when you keep too much focus downstairs? What's happening at the stepper? Geronimo, right? We want to try to keep yourself nice and upright and the heart nice and lifted. We have about 75 seconds remaining here. How are we feeling? At this point, breathing strictly from your nose, probably not an option. At this point, you're gonna have to let your mouth open up a little bit to get more air into the lung pathways. You can probably hear it within my own breathing as well. So control your breath. Once again, big inhales from the nose, holding it slightly at the top, then exhale from the mouth. Now, we haven't talked a whole lot about our upper body. I did mention it a little bit at the top of today's workout, but your upper body should be nice and relaxed. I want you to think of it almost like waiting like a duck. What does that mean, Coach T? Again, good question. Upper body is going to be nice and calm. Once again, those shoulders are back. However, the lower body is doing all the work here. So crazy town downstairs, while the upstairs, cool, calm, and collected. About 15 seconds remain. How are you doing? We're going to drop our tempo down, maybe 1 or 2 as far as your speed is concerned, just enough that you can feel the intensity lower. Let's do that in 3, in 2, and 1. Well done. Okay, tempo's gone down just a touch here. Once again, I want you to try to keep your tempo around 10, if not slightly above it. We're going to challenge ourselves a little bit here, especially for it to be an intermediate workout. I want you to step outside that comfort zone. All right, for 2 rounds, you've been doing incredible work with that 3 minutes on and 90 seconds off. We're going to do that one more time. So here's my last challenge to you. As you come into this final push, once again, can you add 1, possibly 2, to your tempo and still maintain that same form that we saw on the first round? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. Okay, we're going to begin in less than 45 seconds. So if you have water, now's a great opportunity to go and grab it. If you need to towel it off, go ahead and do that as well, because when we jump in, we jump all the way in. Here's the good news. As soon as we're finished with this amount of block, we're going to drop the tempo down even further. We're going to take a little bit of a recovery before we jump into block number 2. Okay, less than 15 seconds. Put your game face on. For 3 minutes in total length, we're either going to go to the same pace or slightly higher than we saw last time. Let's go in 3, 2, and 1. Let's do it. Here we go. 3 minutes, nice and easy. Here we go. Now, at this point, something really common happens. The common thing is we start to panic. We begin to think that we cannot do this. I want you to remember, I started with you, I'm going to finish with you. We are in this one together. We're going to finish what we started, and we're going to finish it with stride. We're going to finish it with strength. Picking up those feet as you begin to take each one of these steps, getting closer and closer to each one of our goals. We all came in with an intention in mind. This is our opportunity to reach that intention and to crush our goals. Now, hand placement. Lots of different options we have here. Feel free to hold on to the railing at the very top, sides, or at the bottom, whatever makes the most sense for you. Or if you feel pretty confident, you can also go without, using the upper body to help propel you a little higher with each one of the steps. But remember that the handles are here available for you at any moment. All right, we're getting closer and closer to the halfway marker. If you've done this right, you should feel your heart rate start to increase, and I want you to get to a place that feels uncomfortable but sustainable. If we're thinking about it on our intensity scale between 1 and 10, at this point, you're probably closer to maybe an 7 or an 8, meaning that we're working hard, but in not as hard as work. It's tough, but we are strong. We are more than halfway finished with this interval block. We're going to take a smaller recovery before we jump into our final block. Stay with me as we push through. Now, one of the great things, once again, about the stepper, I said from before, is that it's a total body experience. One place that most people kind of forget about are the lower legs. Your calves are definitely going to start to feel this as you start to take each one of these steps. So when we finish today's workout, I want you to take an opportunity to make sure that you do a little bit of stretch at your ankle and calf area. You want to make sure that you have full mobility at the calves, or as much as you possibly can. taking each one of these steps very similar to as if you were taking lunges over and over and over again. So we're developing these strong, beautiful legs, but you want to make sure that you have full mobility. When we have mobility, we have strength. Good news. We're about 20 seconds before we drop down our intensity even further. We're going to drop the intensity down, drop the speed down. We're going to take about 60 seconds before we jump into block number 2. All right, let's take this recovery in 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take our recovery. Whew. Well done. Take an opportunity, grab some water, reset, feel good all over again. You absolutely crushed that last one. All right, so we have about 45 seconds before we head into block number 2. Now, block number 2 is going to be a little supersized than what we saw in block number 1. In block number 2, we're going to pick up the tempo to what's called our climbing pace. Now, your climbing pace, you're going to see that your basement speed is going to be about 14, and your top pace is going to be anywhere about 16, possibly even to 18, depending on where you're living on your fitness level today. So, because we're moving a little faster in block number 2, we're actually going to take our recovery time or our drop down time a little bit lower as well. So, we're going to be there for just 2 minutes. All right? Let's begin this next block in 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. So, we're picking up our pace. Hands are nice and wide. Shoulders are down the back. Gaze is forward. Exhaling as you push through. Now, because we're moving a little bit faster, we need to be mindful of our steps. So I want you to, once again, keep your gaze forward, keep your chin lifted, pick up those feet. As we start to fatigue, we start to make small mistakes that are easy to happen, right? So these small mistakes are having heavy feet, meaning that we're tripping over each one of the steps. So I want you to be mindful to really pick up the knee, driving it closer towards your heart, pushing down from the stepper, feeling the engagement of the lower part of the body. Because we're moving faster, if you need to, feel free to hold on to the railing if you got it. But of course, if you're feeling pretty good today, then you can always go without, whatever makes the most sense for you. Less than a minute remaining. We're going to drop down the tempo ever so slightly back to your base pace. Now the base pace, we saw that in block number 1. That's going to be here in about 40 seconds. I'm going to stay with you. Stay with me. Breathe out. 30 seconds remain. What's going on with your core? Are you still engaging that midsection? Once again, the only answer to that question is yes or yes, Coach T. You have about 20 seconds remaining here. Stay with me. We're dropping down that pace back to that base pace, what we saw in block number 1. Remember, the lowest the base pace is going to be about a level 10. Let's go in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Drop down your base pace. We saw it in block number 1. So heart rate started to spike. It leveled off. We're dropping down the intensity ever so slightly. We're here for 2 minutes. Then we're going to drop it down even further for our recovery cool down. And just like that, my friends, we are done. Yeah? Probably the best words we've heard so far today. We're like, just like that? Yes, just like that. You have about 90 seconds remaining here. Once again, work should still feel like work. We're not quite at the cool down yet, but it shouldn't feel as intense as we saw in our first block of work. Allow the heart rate to slowly make its way back down. You probably collect a little bit of sweat there. That means that you did it right. And if you didn't, that's okay. The fact that you showed up, that's all that really matters. And you put in the work exactly how it needs to be done. Less than a minute remaining. We can see a little daylight at the top of these stairs. As we begin to push through, I want you to be mindful of how many steps you took in today's workout. We're going to collect that data at the end of today's workout. Feel free to journal it, write it down, take a picture, just so that when we come back to this workout again, you can either meet that expectation or maybe we can even beat it. 30 seconds remain here. Let's go. Finish line recovery is going to be here very soon. Let's finish what we started. And as I said before, we're going to finish it with stride and with strength. I can feel my heart rate starting to level off. Hopefully yours is as well. Still, once again, working that intensity zone anywhere between 1 and 10. Right now, I would love to see your intensity or your RPE anywhere around 7, possibly a 6. Let's drop our tempo pace even further in 4, in 3, in 2, and in 1. We're going to start to make our way into our cool down. These cool down steps, we're really just kind of taking it a little bit slower. You can almost feel it out for yourself here. My recommendation, once again, is anywhere close to maybe an 8, possibly a 10. Allowing the heart rate to slowly make its way back down. And we're going to slow down the steps even further. Really taking your time here. Feeling the gorgeous long lines as we start to make our way to the top. And we're going to start to bring our stepper to a stop. So once you go ahead and hit your stop button on your left part of your handle, that feels great. Let's cross one ankle over the knee, sit straight back and open up the hip here. And begin to roll the ankle ever so slightly. Once again, getting some mobility within the ankle here. Lifting it right up. Same thing onto the other side. Dropping into that hip bone pocket, rolling out the ankle as needed. Slowly lifting all the way back up. Let's take a big inhale. Reach those hands above the head. Reaching farther, slightly back. Exhale, bring it all the way back down. Hey, great work today. Once again, my name is Toby Massenberg, aka Coach T. I was and still am your stepper workout training partner, also known as your coach, and I will see you next time.